Okay. Good morning. Let me know if you can hear me. Thank you. I am so sorry for all the trouble, but yes, indeed. I'm going to test over here to see if I can hear myself. Just as I thought I had it all figured out. Yep. Okay. Let's pretend. Let's do a serenity now. Let's pretend that it's 10 o'clock, not 10:16. Okay. I have everything set up. I went for my walk. It's a gorgeous day. I came back and everything basically did a panic on Windows, and I had to go for a hard recore boot. And as you know, when that happens, all hell breaks loose. It's good to be back. Today, I'm going to actually go through some things that are part of. Good morning, by the way. Thank you for your patience. Hi, Julie. And hi, Sharon and Marcus and everyone else who's joining us. Okay. Here's what I would like to get us back on track on. Thank you very much. That makes me feel good. I love you guys too. Today, I have a surprise for you because I've been working on something that I try to impress upon all of you as following my philosophy of how to do business in a world full of drama and being in many cases, a solopreneur. Maybe you're a small business, but you're definitely a small company. And you want to deliver things that in a world of dynamically changing events and people and technology that you can know is going to build something for your future, as well as to provide immediate revenue. And one of those things is to not prematurely try to document stuff, not prematurely try to evergreen stuff if you can avoid making the mistake of something too soon. Why? Because today I'm going to show you, for example, with the launch kit, with the minute launch idea, with everything I've been consulting at Launchify, over years, I've had the chance of working with thousands of customers, literally thousands of customers and prospective customers. And I found that only through actually working with people one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat, can I get the certainty of understanding what I need to put into the documentation. Good morning, Julie. I'm so happy that you're here, by the way, and thank you for sharing. So, by the way, I can speak to chronic pain. That's one of my underlying tones too, because again, my back issues. So what we're going to talk about today is at WPLaunchify, I'll go through some screenshots here, and then I've had a 20-year history of being an expert at the top of WordPress. We're finally at the place that for many of us who are trying to build a business that have membership marketing, automation, e-commerce, training, sharing, that I can deliver to you the sanity of, like Marcus says, going to IKEA. I wore yellow today. Seeing the guy in the yellow vest, and all of the things that you need are already pre-configured, pre-thought out, pre-documented, but not because you're buying the parts, but because you're buying the entire concierge system, which does not in any way take away from your ability to customize and change, but rather starts you out with the best of all the options, all of the personal expertise and knowledge, just an email away, or in many cases, a hands-on call away. And in doing so, as a company of one, as a solopreneur, you can avoid the pitfalls of trying to take a tree and carve a chair out of it from scratch instead of going to IKEA, having a nice lunch, buying a set of chairs that match all the other chairs and furniture. Let me jump into this. What I'm going to do is open up a new window. I'm going to do a review of the components because I've also created some of the documentation. And so both of these together are important. Let me get you oriented with a screen here. And I have to share this screen. This is where all my best laid plans have fallen apart because I have to start over with a new window, but no problems. Okay, let's start with this. And I'm just going to do a little housekeeping so that I can present this better to you guys and not have to bounce around so much. One of the things that has been a theme throughout the last couple of years of me talking, but certainly this last 10 months, has been how can I best deliver a SaaS-like experience from WordPress, in answer to what Julie's talking about, where you don't go down to the flea market and get all your own stuff and make the mistake that WordPress has now publicly imploded upon of all the vendors just screaming and yelling at you and at themselves over here, do this, do that, do this, and nobody acting in concert of agreement. Instead, what we're doing is we're taking all of the best parts And I'm going to provide you some demonstrable proof that you can do something as simple as like, hey, the guy from IKEA said that if I want my kitchen, it's going to look exactly like that model showroom. And here's the parts. And I can come home and it's all flat packed with the directions that work in any language. Okay. So one of the premises of what I've been doing at Launchify for the last, 10, 11 years since I founded this company was building on the 20 years of WordPress, where most of my clients are smart people. They tend to be solopreneurs or small companies instead of enterprise, but I do have a few enterprise clients. And they're really always building Frankenstein monsters or having shiny ball syndrome. And in the last couple of years, I've been able to take all of the key features and all the expertise I have for how to put that together about doing the business you're talking about, Julie, right? Membership, email marketing, maybe there's a component of social networking. There's definitely subscriptions, and allow you to be the leader of your community, your tribe, in a way that doesn't make you lock yourself into a SaaS product. And the launch kit itself has 3 basic premises to it. What if it was possible, and it is, there's 2 levels. There's software only, but let's just talk about the full package. For $97 a month, what if you could check into the 4 seasons and you had all of the software delivered to your suite, but only as you needed it? Like, I want to order food, but they deliver it exactly like you like it, or show you exactly what ingredients to use, instead of you randomly going down to the flea market, farmer's market, and buying yourself. What if you could call down to the desk, email, and say, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? I want to go out to dinner. I would love to have somebody come pick me up in a limo. I want to get a massage. Having access to your concierge unlimited, but not for the parts, not for the ingredients, for the solutions that you're trying to achieve. I want a membership site where I do X, Y, and Z. And finally, you can have, as I'll show you today, you can have even the hosting included, because hosting is somewhat of a red herring these days. There are 600 plus hosts that do WordPress, but as you're seeing the drama unfold, there's a variety of ways they sell stuff that isn't really what you need or want. What if the hosting was included out of my pocket, $10? I take $10 out of that 97 and I set you up with the best hosting that demonstrably will have everything working properly. Even if you don't use it for your final site, which why wouldn't you? You have proof, for my selfish reasons, of how things could and would and should work, which means that we don't have to argue about whether it's a problem with your hosting or it's a problem with something else. We can see that it's working fine on the good hosting. So having this allows a SaaS-like experience, but yet you own it and control it with WordPress. Now, the software bundle and all these components have an infinite number of possible things. Just like if you were at IKEA, there's a million things you could do. I mean, if I go to IKEA's website, the best part about it is I can browse forever on all the possibilities. Every one of these pictures has IKEA stuff in it. But like, think about how much time would be involved in you going from scratch. I mean, it's fun, but it'd take you forever to figure out which cabinets to order and what sizes and which accessories and which chair. What if the dude in the yellow vest had that all documented out? Okay, so therein lies what today's topic is about. What's the rub of that? Well, the rub of that is that, let's say we have 90 to 100 plugins that have the various features that we need. You don't need all of them all of the time. Of course not. That would be ridiculous. I'm going to put up the screenshot. Instead, you need recipes for which things achieve which goals, and you need Chef Spence to give them to you in a form that's called a minute launch. But to date, I've had to go into the test kitchens with all of you as live clients. This year, I've had hundreds and hundreds of clients using LaunchKit, and I've learned how to improve the delivery mechanism, how to deliver the recipes, how to simplify what people are doing into the least number of parts. So what I've done today, as part of today's conversation, is I put together something, and I'm actually going to have to do this. Hold on. I'm going to have to do a page that's not published yet. I put together an outline of the ingredients with links, and this is how I'm going to start this whole process now in public of essentially documenting LaunchKit into the simplest recipe cards possible. And here, I'm going to deliver this back to the presentation. So this is a page that I put together called Minute Launch Ingredients. What this is imagine over here, sorry, I'm going to go back to this slide. Imagine over here when we talk about the software bundle, this is each of these $6,411 worth of software components that are included for you to use if you buy the kit. If I'm going to give you recipes that are as simple as something like make a basic recipe site, here's 4 steps to it, I want to be darn sure that you understand which ingredients are in there, because that's the only way for me granularly to explain, this recipe or this IKEA kitchen or this Lego creation all have these parts in it. It's like a parts list. But what I want to also do is take advantage as a company of one myself these days to be smart about where my AI capabilities and technologies will come into play. I'm not going to give you some cockamamie fake AI chatbot that makes you ask a bunch of nincompoop questions and go in circles. I'm going to be very prescriptive, like grandma, this is my secret baklava recipe or kugel or something like that. And this is how you make it. You don't do it differently. Now, if you do, that's on you. You can, but you shouldn't. In order to make it possible, you need to understand what are all the recipe ingredients that are available. And so what I've done here as a starting point for this documentation process in public is I've taken all of the parts that have now, after going on 10 months plus, been perfected into the kits. And I'm starting to put them into the conceptual framework of what do they do, right? Affiliate management, bookings, community tools, content management and design tools, the CRM, data management, backup, migration, event management, faceted search and search indexes, forms, Kanban boards, learning management, marketing automation, user profiles, product subscriptions, membership sales funnels, support, utilities and management. Okay. Why the categories? Well, let's use the metaphor of IKEA. Okay. Kitchens, baths, bedrooms, indoor, outdoor, kids. There needs to be broader categories so you can get your head wrapped around it. I know, Anne, you have been with me since May of 2023. You've been here since the beginning, even before this officially launched. And so you, of all people I know, are one of the people that I've taken a lot of feedback from and tried to finally make this happen. But I want to emphasize to everybody, you see, this process is something I'm used to going through. I've been doing this my whole adult life, even when I was a kid, and I've never been able to document something until I figure it out. I can't figure it out until I test it with real people. You have to be brave. You have to be bold. You have to be innovative on just throwing things out in public and talking to people until you know what works, because otherwise you spend infinite days, weeks, months creating something that nobody wants, nobody could use, that misses the whole point. And what I'm trying to do is the opposite. I'm trying to demonstrate to you, LaunchKit as a product has been in use, paid customers now, officially for 10 months and unofficially for many, many years as it's evolved from something as a consultancy into an actual productized service. But now by putting this together, I want to show you something else I've done. I'm using all of the various kit components that I offer to you. So for the benefit of Julie, not knowing what's in here, everything I build, everything I do uses the very same launch kit. So I'm going to go under the hood here because Minute Launch is a brand, a concept of how I'm going to document this. Like, you can launch anything you want in a minute with the kit. Here's LaunchKit in practice. Now, I've shown this to a lot of folks. What it does is it provides a modern WordPress as a service experience for the admin. Starting with, it allows you to control which things you install without having 25, 30, 40 subscriptions and paying $6,411 for what you can get here, $97 a month. Take it and leave anytime. The installer makes this experience incredibly powerful and dynamic versus the onesie twosie, get the license key, download, upload, install, and try to connect a bunch of random parts. Because I, as your concierge, am acting as the buffer. So here, for example, all that one needs to do is you install the free plugin, put in your credentials that you've got for WP Launchify, check for updates, make sure you've got the latest software package from the front desk of the Four Seasons, and then just install all of the plugins. You click this button and then you can check to see if you've got the latest version of everything or anything is left. That process takes under 2 minutes, maybe a minute, versus 10, 20, 30 minutes of time grabbing stuff randomly. But once you've got all these ingredients, I'm using the same stuff. So what I'm showing you here is out of the box LaunchKit, where I'm building in public with the very same tools that I'm showing you and that hundreds and hundreds of my new clients this year have used for their powerful businesses. I'll show you some examples of them. So here, all I created were recipes using, let's say, I'll go back to the page, using LaunchKit, the design tools, the components. It does not mean you can't throw in all the old tricks and toys you've had from 20 years of WordPress. But if you do that, you're screwing up the whole idea of sticking with the recipe, right? If you buy the thing from IKEA, just unpack it, assemble it with the directions, and be done. Don't start randomly doing stuff by chopping a tree down in your backyard and trying to put them together. One of the things I did here is I used the Gutenberg layout with cadence and so forth to create an index page. What I also did was I just used the elegant capability of adding a little icon at the end to essentially link out to the original documentation for each of the ingredients. Now, hear me out on this. One of the mistakes I've made in the past, and it was because I just had to do it while I was learning, was I went to all the time and effort to document third-party stuff as part of my processes. What does that mean? Well, as a consultancy, if I recommend this or that or the other plugin, sometimes I've taken the time to literally reduplicate what was already existing at the ingredient owner or creator site and put it into my instructions. I will never do that again because we now have the capability of dynamically linking out to the original source and instead focusing our time on doing the things that are unique to what we're going to do with the ingredients. For example, here's the affiliate WP stuff. Each of these little arrows will open up in a new tab, the documentation for affiliate WP. Because if you need to dig in to the underpinnings of any ingredient, God bless you. I encourage you, learn what lifetime commissions is. It's all there. They're keeping this thing up to date. I don't need to do that. The concierge at the hotel who wants to send you to a great Italian restaurant does not recreate the menu of the Italian restaurant and hand it to you. They go, here's the website URL. Here's the link into Yelp. Here's maybe an image of it or something. But there's no point as a solopreneur in duplicating the efforts that are already out there of the parts. Instead, I'm referencing all of the parts so that you have an index to get to them if you need to. What? How? What? How? What? How? Like that. So let's say I'm using forms and I want to learn the basics of how to set up Fluent Forms. Great. Go to the Fluent Forms page and essentially how to create a form. Why does Spence have to reduplicate this effort? They've got amazing documentation here. What can Spence do? Spence shows you how to integrate forms into the recipe, the minute launch recipe of how to do something that you want as the outcome, such as, I want a basic recipe site. Great. Here's how to do it. Here's, in this case, I don't have the ingredients listed, but I would in the next version. Here's the ingredients, cross-linked. Here's what we do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. If you need to know more details about this step, click here. It'll take you to the further documentation. This is a good example. I think I use forms in this one, right? So create a Fluent form. If all of the recipes are short and sweet, but they cross-reference the ingredients, and the ingredients explain what they do and why, but also have links to the basic setups, you can go very easily as deep or as wide as you need to, or as granular. While I spend my time, I'm improving. So how do I explain this to you? And I want to bring this together as well under the hood, because I've shown this in other examples. I don't feel I will ever use AI to replace me or to be in the way of our relationship. As a person, and Julie, I specifically give this to you because everyone else here has probably heard this, the thing that is most valuable that you can sell today and going forward, 100%, is not going to be an AI in between you and your customers. It's going to be using AI to bring you and your human customers closer together, because it's going to reduce the time you need to spend to give them exactly the right answer in a human way. I had a call, because I deal with chronic pain myself, with this going on 18 months back issue that I'm hoping one day to have solved. But I was on last night with my surgeon about, I'm going in for another surgery, a tune-up, because the nerve issues, the disc is not giving up, squirting out onto the nerve. I don't want to talk to an AI chatbot. I don't want to research that stuff through my doctor's website. I need to talk to the guy or the woman who's my surgeon, and have a conversation, because that's what we need as human beings in a world of infinite AI and technology. But unfortunately, he's in a hospital setup that's old fashioned. They need me to like sneaker net over the CD of my MRI somehow. And his tools that are available are like from 1985 or something like that. So the bottom line, I, I'm already too far down the road of avoiding surgery. That is a conversation. Uh, that's another conversation. But in terms of dealing with the other issues, the mental issues, there is a great parallel, by the way, of dealing with any kind of chronic pain or chronic physical thing and business. If you continue to do the wrong thing, if you continue to focus your energy on the wrong part of the lever, you're going to get results that you're not wanting versus what you want. So here, what I'm suggesting is these tools and the way that I'm organizing them are going to be helpful for you guys, because in more often than not cases, the things that you want to build, we've already had figured out. Let me give you an example of that. In the WPLaunchKit website, which is where you are today, this is where I currently have had the ongoing documentation as I go. This has been a work in progress, kind of a placeholder, right? And this is traditional. I mean, it's still pretty regimented. But what I didn't have in this version, and thanks, by the way, to Beth Odin, who did help me, one of my longtime clients and friends and colleagues, she helped me get this going from day one, but it's got tons of holes in it. It's not consistent. It's not like IKEA's instructions where all of them have the same format, the same icons, the same everything. So for example, if I was doing a directory, LaunchKit has all the tools with a few of the key components to have an amazing directory, or even what I'm showing you on the screen here, having basically a faceted search index of all kinds of concepts. We've used this in lots of clients for products, services, people, events, and so forth. But this is not the way that I think we should be doing it in the modern world. I think in the modern world, we should have an interface that is like, there's 90 or 100 ingredients, and here's an index from start to finish of what most people want to have done. And if you click on any of those concepts or categories, it puts you right in the zone, like as if you were at the IKEA store. I'm in the kitchen area. In fact, I could do free kitchen planning. I can shop pre-cut countertops or appliances or lighting. Like, in other words, this concept is something we're all familiar with. And if you go and you browse inside of IKEA, sometimes that's the best thing of all, because you go in and you go, oh, wow, let's check this out. Let's go browse some sample rooms and see what that looks like, right? And I think if we do the same thing here, we have a preset number of ingredients that have been curated. Everybody understands what they are. And I'm essentially giving people for free, or from an email for free, or even hands-on, a way to get right to the outcome of, I'm wanting to go to one of these style kitchens. So let's look at the Ehenet kitchen. Okay. Imagine this, like, I need a membership site with marketing automation so I can teach people how to solve or work on their chronic pain, right? So if I was at the actual store, I could browse the components, the ingredients, and Spence has documentation. I could see how they go together. I mean, right, granularly. Or I could just go right to the top and I could just start browsing through, like, what does this look like when it's all put together? If I need the help, I can get the guy in the yellow vest who can also help me out. And this is not using AI. This is using just common sense organization, where you always know that it's been pre-thought out. It's been pre-planned. They've got everything that goes from like full kitchen down to parts, but in between, you can either figure it out yourself because they've been standardized, or you can get the help of the person in the yellow vest. And so similarly, when we go back to, let's go to here, when we go to Minute Launch and I talk about ingredients, this is like the IKEA inventory of stuff. And yes, we categorize it in terms of the main capabilities. This is choosing from a potential flea market of 80,000 random plugins. We have 99 or so, but the number isn't important because you're not using them all at once. It's, what are they there for? What features do they bring to the table? And is somebody going to be responsible, i.e. Spence? Yes. For curating these and making sure that if I use them, install them, they're not going to break the crap out of everything, which is hugely important. Number two, is some overarching company business going to take responsibility for me and treat me like a king or a queen so that I get the outcome I want? When you go to IKEA, you are guaranteed that your kitchen is going to look like this kitchen. And that if you can't get it together yourself, you can always pick up the phone and call somebody, they'll come over. But you can't escape the gravity of how ridiculously easy this is. And yet, you could, if you want, chop a tree down, turn it into a countertop, and put it on top of the cabinets from here. Nobody's going to stop you. But when you ask the guy at IKEA, hey, I used all your cabinets, but I chopped a tree down and my countertop that I made from scratch isn't working out, he's going to go, well, if you want like off the shelf solutions I can give you today, here's our countertops, or we can send a custom guy over for $300 an hour and he'll help you figure it out. But don't mix those metaphors. Don't try to do your own custom thing while we're giving you a system that's been perfected over these years. Okay, so back to this. Why is this all relevant and useful? I am not going to talk politics here, but those of you who follow some of WordPress recognize there is an existential crisis at the moment in WordPress because the founder, Matt Mullenweg, has, I don't know what's going on, decided to pull some kind of nuclear option on the community. And he's gotten into a huge fight with WP Engine, one of the biggest hosting providers and a company that owns one of the bigger plugins. And it absolutely shines a light on two things, both of which are beneficial to you being here. Number one, we're all living and dying by the sword of this being open source, which means that the software itself is never in jeopardy. There is nothing about this event that's going to stop or prevent you or I or anybody from using all of the software and doing what we want with it. That's the awesomeness of this. But it also shines the light on why it's so important to have a trusted relationship with a human being, and that is me and this company, who after 20 years has demonstrated my whole goal as an entrepreneur in my life has been to service human beings. It's never been more true than in my coming up on, I say, my third trimester of life. I have learned in my second 30 years of life, because I'm going to be 58 this year. So let's say 30 to 58. Being of service to others, to humanity, is the number one thing I can do as a capitalist to go forward in this new era, this new age of what I'll call the transition. The transition is from the way things have always been, which when I grew up was like people helping people one-on-one, to all kinds of corporate end stage capitalism. Let's just step on everybody's hands and feet and just crush their souls and see what happens. And we're seeing what's happening. For most of us who've lived through both of these generations and eras, it's very clear that the only way we're going to survive as human beings is if we help each other. But we need to use the technology in an intelligent way. And it feels to me, at least intuitively, that with my particular journey of having back troubles and having other things that have helped me to be focused and empathetic and also sensitive to what works, both for my clients and customers like you, but also because of my own needs. I thankfully am not digging ditches for a living. I'm not putting on a suit and going into court anymore. I'm not even having to go around to buildings and stuff like I did when I was a residential real estate developer and landlord. I'm able to sit at a computer, manage a very successful company, helping other people like yourselves see that the best thing in the world was that we all ended up here at WordPress, because even with this existential crisis, it's just magnifying the benefits of we get to own and control a solution that we have created together. And the second part of it is selective use of the technology. As a developer, as somebody who likes to discover and then share with you guys what works, every single day I'm using new toys and tools. And one of them I'm going to show you here, you guys may remember this, is that I could, if I wanted, replace me. Let me give you an example of that. I did a couple pages. Let's see if this is one of them, where I created the whole page dynamically with AI, including let Spence read to you. In other words, I created myself. I'll put that in here. And this is my artificial voice. I'm going to turn the mic around. And let's see if you can hear this. Okay. So I've done this before. So in other words, what I did is I generated all this dynamically from my internal data and I presented it. But you know what this is missing? This is not something I'm going to release. This is an example of what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to just randomly try to make people believe that this is me and they should rely on this. This is like a new version of voicemail or voice jail. If you'd like to talk to the director of marketing, press 1. If you come from Chicago, press 2. That is madness. What I'm instead doing is I'm using on the back end the ability to exponentially achieve my goal of organizing content and doing stuff using back-end AI tools plus the data that we create here, so that what I can do is more quickly spit out the solutions, the content, the simplicity that the clients need. Like, for example, I can generate a recipe kit from the dynamic ingredients, and I can use real world examples, and I can compile that into a tool that I can deliver into this audience, all using the same stuff. Because if everybody has the same parts, I know that that tool will work with everybody's site. And I've actually done that even as of yesterday. Let me show you here. So here, when I click on software bundle, this is just a solution where I wanted to generate something that took a bunch of components that I was managing with my own LaunchKit installation at WPLaunchKit, and I wanted to show it in 3 tables that were responsive. So if I were to take this screen, see that table, how it's being responsive? Now, if you had 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 or 20 different themes you're all using and different components and different parts and different this, I couldn't give you that kind of a, hey, here you go, here's a solution. Just like the guy at IKEA, if you came in and said, well, I chopped a tree down and I made my own countertop, he can't or she can't give you a solution for what to do to make that fit with IKEA cabinets. If you're all using the IKEA stuff, if you're all using the stuff I've curated, I can give you more stuff. I can give you pre-made answers, solutions, customization. And then I can boil it back down into a recipe, either a full recipe or part of a recipe or an ingredient. And then if you're stuck, what happens? You could just email me as part of your relationship-based relation. Spence, I got a problem with the cabinet and the countertop. Oh, no problem. I'm wearing the vest. I know what everybody's using. I've got it all documented down from the ingredient to the subcomponents to the full setup. This is what you need. And I've got tens of thousands of clients, happy clients, who are using some version of what I am suggesting to you. And as a result, I can show that the solution or the problem solution or whatever is not something that's a mystery. I don't have to charge $300 an hour to figure out what your Frankenstein monster is. So hopefully this is a clarity. Now, as an example of how the 3 benefits come into play. Number 1, I'm giving you my public pledge that as part of this final, coming now onto 10 months since launching this evolution, we have all of the parts and the features we need for LaunchKit to be successful. We are using it on some clients. I am so proud of them. I have some clients that came out of the box, and because they've got a great product and service, we're doing $200,000, $300,000 a month. I mean, crazy town, like a business, but using the same stuff. I've got other people who came out and they're doing, $20, $30 a month. And most people are in between. They're essentially doing the kind of business they need to, which is in the few $1,000s, maybe a month, or enough to certainly pay for the cost and the value proposition. But what I'm able to do is apply the same exact solutions to all of them. In other words, it scales infinitely from like just starting up to heavy duty enterprise. What I am looking to do in public is to pledge to you that now I'm at the place where I'm going to memorialize all of this documentation randomness that I was just collecting as I went along the way, using all of the same tools. And I'm going to reorganize it into what will become these minute launch recipes. And I'll give you this too, the ingredient list with references to the original source. So let's go back to that. I'm pasting in some URLs as I go because these will all end up on the homepage anyway, but here's the ingredient list. I'm just pasting these into YouTube. Okay. Why am I pledging this in public? I'm pledging it in public because of 2 things. Number 1, and Julie had tipped you on this. I, in May of last year, started this journey where I evolved after almost 19 years plus and 20 years almost in WordPress. I had been at a company of 12 people that I had started. Then I was down to one person, but I suffered this first herniated disc, which is my second time around. And then I had a second surgery. So too late to undo surgeries, by the way. And it was pretty good, but I used that as my motivation to figure out how can I bulletproof myself in a world that's ever changing, from being in a position like I found myself, which was I couldn't sit and do consulting work. I couldn't get a shovel and start digging holes. I needed to create a business that was smarter and worked harder, but in a way that did the one thing that would protect me from the future, which is, as I said, making more relationships. Spence is the concierge that will give me this value proposition that no matter what the world brings, I know for 97 a month or 47 if I just get the software, that he is going to give me all the same experience like an IKEA or the Lego store. And by doing that kind of a business, I knew that I could build something that's essentially what we're talking about here, which is a productized service of curated software where the tool itself, the LaunchKit tool that I showed you on the back end over here, allows me to deliver to everybody instantly, better than WordPress itself, WordPress as a service. And in doing that, I could interact as I have been for 10 months with hundreds and hundreds of very happy folks to ask them what it's like to use this kit, to use these tools, to use my help. And in doing that, I could then document which things to keep in and which things to kick out, which, by the way, is always changing. And in doing that, this is like the little old lady swallowed a fly, and she swallowed a spider to catch the fly, and she swallowed in doing that, I end up with the ability that will ultimately be here, and this is where my focus is going to be on making LaunchKit closer to the real IKEA, where each of the components is going to have their own documentation, but also share the stuff that's in public. They will be shown as part of subsystems or sub goals, how to do a membership site, how to do an audience, versus the more old-fashioned way of, build a directory and watch a video and so forth. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this, but this just doesn't give all the ingredients and my ultimate thing is that I will get us closer to, hey, check this out. For 97 bucks a month, there's nothing else I ever need because I've got a human relationship with the dude who has been there 20 years and has made it his life mission for the next 20 to 30 years to be the guy who takes me and the other thousands of people he serves through this transitional phase where we can deliver what we need to our audiences. Whether it's for money or not is irrelevant, but you have an audience of people who need your education, need your training, need the encouragement, like Julie suggested, about how to deal with chronic pain. And instead of you going off into the woods and trying to carve trees and stuff, Spence can give you a full ready to go kitchen for 97 a month, or he can show you how to add components or change components. He can give you psychology advice. He can give you expert marketing advice. He can show you how to, like I just did with the AI, how to weave in something that might be useful to your audience. But more importantly, and I'm going to point to some of these clients here, like I'm proud of all of them, but like Ann is here today. I always talk about Ann and Nutritionify. Xander, Ann, Stuart, Dr. Ely. There's people that I've been working with the last couple of months who've just followed this to the letter. And in doing so, people want less. Because what they ultimately are getting when they join your community, like Xander Holt's community, or when they offer something like, because I show Ann quite a bit here, with Nutritionify, Ann has varying degrees of products and services, starting from the nutritionists up to the event hosts and planners. All of these are using the same basic ingredients, just like IKEA, that I'm curating, and I'm there to hold your hand because I can scale myself to thousands of people when we're all using the stuff that I've curated, versus where I started this whole conversation and where I started my 20-year journey of, well, you just went down to the WordPress flea market, got yourself involved in the wrangling and the politics and the hey over here kid, and you built yourself a disaster and I have to fix it. I hope that I can take this panel down soon, and I will, because now I'm at the point rounding the corner where whether I'm showing people how to imitate something like a popular social network platform like School, we can do this now in WordPress, or whether it's doing membership, or whether it's doing subscription or transaction, all of this is built with the same set of tools in the kit. I'm doing a site here, which I'm very proud is going to launch. This is a company that's doing in the mid 7 figures, and a great team of people. Classic Frankenstein. This is the site we have not launched live. It's going to go live today or tomorrow, but this was a taking what they had, which was a disaster pants of things over time, and putting it together in the modern launch kit. And the reason is because they understand with so many paid customers what works and what doesn't. But the way they got to where they're at, which is mid 7 figures of income, was from making all of the mistakes. And what we're able to do is just recreate this in a site that's the same $97 a month, works and acts exactly as it should, super optimized. Why? Because they were willing to do the process. They trusted me as a human being, as I'm asking you to trust me, that having somebody at the front desk of the Four Seasons sounds like it may be expensive. But if that cost you $97 a month and you got the savings of $6,400 of software, you had guarantee, you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and you can email Spence. If you know that he's giving you the hosting to prove what works, and it's all money back guarantee other than the personal time if there's hands-on, which might be part of it too. Spence comes over and interacts to get this done with me. Then that's the best thing I can do going forward for the next 20 to 30 years in a world that's going to be changing even more rapidly every day. In a world where I am 100% dedicated to demonstrating through my actions, physically, mentally, psychologically, how to be a better human being to serve other human beings. As a capitalist, yes, but as a modern capitalist, not as an old-fashioned end-stage capitalist. Because I believe that we have to stop taking advantage of each other. We have to stop going for the jugular. We are all on this life raft together. And those of us who are willing to help others and demonstrate through our actions how to do that are doing the highest and best calling for what will ultimately benefit ourselves. Because when I'm at my worst, when I'm struggling with the things I have to struggle with, right? The nerve pain and the back thing and another surgery and this or whatever. Those challenges make me stronger because if I'm really in the dumps, I think about helping somebody else. I think about working on the launch kit, answering emails, and it takes me out of my head and ultimately has become the magnet that has made me capable of, as a company of one, having one of the best years ever in a world where everything else is just like in a twister. So I got a little verklempt there for a moment, but what's really important for me to share with you guys is I love all of you. I love that you are here supporting what I do. You show up every week. Many of you have been with me for months and months. Some of you, like Sharon, I've known for years and years. This is what I'm going to call my third iteration of my technological solutions. I started on a different platform and then went to a second platform and then ended up at WordPress. And over the years of showing people what to do and building solutions, this is my final place. I'm staking my claim. And after doing what I'm doing here with the launch kit, I finally found a recipe that I can both use myself, improve myself, but then pay it forward to everybody else, including you, to use for your clients. And that includes not just the software, that includes the psychology, the marketing, the recognition of what works and doesn't based upon me having thousands of people it's being tested on. For no, you shouldn't send somebody 40 emails just because they gave you their email. You need to talk to people and treat people like they're your friend and you're text messaging them. And in doing all of this, what I'm saying is I'm going to continue to do my thing as the world changes. And I know that the technology is going to be different and will go wherever it takes us. But as I do that, I will continue to be like the tour guide for those of you who want to be as part of my family, my community, because that's always how I felt of this anyway. I mean, I have people that I've serviced or helped 20 years ago, even longer, 30 years ago, outside of technology in real estate or law or something. And they came back and they said things that I remember hearing about my grandfather, Max. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was doing real estate in the early days, in the early 90s, there was nobody doing it because of the recession. When I first started getting into the heat of it and I was acquiring property when nobody else knew that these things were worth anything, it was easy. But as the competition rolled up, there would be like 20, 30 people lined up to buy a piece of property from somebody who was selling it after years. And this is before the internet made this easy. This was like early days. And one day somebody was interviewing about 15 of us all lined up to present our offers. And I came in and they asked me my name. They said, "You're foreman." was your grandfather Max Foreman? And I said, yes. And they said, oh, your grandfather was our family lawyer and he did so many things to help us, blah, 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 blah. And I love that about my grandfather. He was just always about helping people. He was a family attorney. And I ended up getting the deal. My offer was a solid offer, but I'm sure there was more money. But they gave me the deal because my grandfather had, on a human level, gone out of his way to help these folks, despite maybe his own expenditure of time, money, effort, and so forth. And I think that's the thing that he taught me. I have said this many times before, is the most important thing as a human being you have is your name and your reputation. And if you don't use that in service of other people, if you don't leave this life with your name and reputation in as good or better shape than you got it, then what was the point of this life? That's one of the things I feel a little melancholy about for Matt Mullenweg and for what he's doing right now in WordPress, because I feel like he's had that good place all these years. And now it seems like that's not how it's going to be. For me, however, that is the thing that gets me up in the middle of the night and feeling better about my problems, is that no matter what it costs me, financially or otherwise, I have always chosen, at least online, to do the right thing in favor of my clients, my customers, even at my financial expense. And that is where I want to be, because I feel like that's what's going to help all of us going forward, is when the robots are indistinguishable from the people. The only difference is going to be when you get really close with somebody, you're going to know. And if I have a tribe of people who like the fact that I can be their leader on the technology or the innovation, I believe I can do that for the next 20 to 30 years. That's going to be my third trimester purpose here on this planet. And it feels really good. So I will leave on that sort of wishy-washy but high note that I encourage all of you to please consider the possibilities of coming on over. If you are over here at WPLaunchKit, you could just get your kit today, or you can click Launch Any Recipe Minutes. And what you're going to be taking is the Launch Kit. $97 a month by itself gets you the 3 key features and benefits. The thing that I just showed you is essentially you have unlimited use. So even if you get one site included, you can use the software on all of your clients, or you can get additional sites that are hosted by me at wholesale for your clients and get out of the hosting business. But you might also choose to have some hands-on time. 1 hour of time with me is like having the IKEA guy come to your house. And that for many people has been very useful, but also some people go farther and they go with like something that I will judge based on our conversation will be enough time for me to commit, like my surgeon. You need this surgery, that surgery, the other surgery. You choose which one sounds good, but you can also do it on your own. This allows me to commit to some of my clients' needs and projects without us having to keep ringing the bell. Oh, that's an hour, ding. That's an hour, ding. So I include a discount, but I include a fiduciary promise. Many of you have experienced this, that it works out in both of our favors. This was a little weird one. I lost some time because of the late start. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I hope you will join me. I hope you will give me feedback on the new Minute Launch documentation, the Minute Launch concept. I am going to probably at some point squeeze out the Launch Kit as far as using it as a name, and it's going to be WP Launchify's Kit, and it's going to be Minute Launch Recipes. And the reason for that, by the way, is very simple. Forethought, I wanted to, and I did use the kit, but subsequently, even though I'm at WP LaunchKit, and even though it's in the repository as LaunchKit, there is somebody in another business doing launchkit.com. And it feels to me, I don't know if it's a chicken or an egg, but they seem to have come around quite a bit since I've been doing my thing. And so I'm not sure who's doing what, but there's too much brand confusion on that. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing Marie Kondo style is I'm not going to give up the kit term, but it's going to be WP Launchify Minute Launch, and you can use what's in the kit. And that's something that I'm not afraid to do. Changing as I go, evolving it, keeping it simple is something that I've demonstrated that I hope you guys understand works really well when you're a company of one, because there's no confusion. It's perfect clarity. It's like I woke up one day and I'm sick of wearing bell-bottom jeans. I'm switching to OP shorts, or some kind of metaphor that those of you who are Gen X would understand. I want to thank all you guys for your support. and for coming by today. Julie, I hope I would love, by the way, I would love to talk to you. So would you please email me at help@WPLaunchify.com? And I would love to just have a chat and learn more about what you're doing. And maybe you do have some tips for me. I will keep you guys posted. This next surgery I'm going to have is not going to take me down. I don't think it's going to be minimally invasive. It's more of the MRI shows the little donut, squeeze some more stuff onto my nerves. So they're going to go in and do maybe an hour and a half of tweaking it. Hopefully that will get me closer to my goal of worrying about fixing the next body part as a 1966 Chevrolet. Thanks again for all your support. If you guys have questions, please email me. Go to WPLaunchify. If you've not joined, join. You've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. And I will see you guys next Friday. Peace.